Today we're going to discuss one of the product which we recently designed to read any machine's uptime and the cycle counts with few different mechanisms. For example, you can use a contact closure input, you can use a current sensor, you can use a digital signal which could be a 0 to 24 volt AC DC, you can connect a photo eye sensor with it, you can connect a beam brake sensor with it, or you can, it also has an option to connect a accelerometer and magnetometer. Each of these inputs can be used to detect a machine is running and when it's going on and going. Whenever we talk to folks, they have a very common application or requirement throughout all the industries. Like, I want to know when a machine is on and when it's off and how many. So we designed this product so you can use this product with virtually any machine and calculate all these parameters. These parameters can help you with operations. So you can also connect this device using the Node-RED to softwares like CMS softwares and ERP and all those things. In this particular event, we're going to talk about how to use this sensor with the contact closer. Contact closer inputs are the inputs where a relay can just go on and off when machine makes something or it's on. Generally, like end on lights are examples. When they go on and off, they also trigger a relay which you can connect to this product and can detect when the machine is on and off and cycles. This is a very common application. A lot of even very old machines like presses or any CNCs and all, they generally have these kind of outputs. Let's talk about the hardware here. Just like any other product, this is also using NCD wireless radio module and is powered by batteries, generally 6 batteries. You can purchase this with internal antenna or you can purchase this with external antenna. Sometimes folks prefer internal antenna because it's installed near the machines and they don't want to antenna to break. So that's an option here. As far as the connectors goes, there are a couple of options here. One is 5 pin AM12 and one is 8 pin. This product can be built in few different configurations. In this particular event, I'm going to talk about all the configurations, but we'll be focusing on contact closer input only. So this connector, which is a 5 pin AM12 connector, it connects to this particular Molex connector. Let's go back to the product manual for a second here, and in the manual, if you scroll down, you will find a pin def. For a device to work as a contact closer inputs, you need a signal, which is an input, and you have to short with either a voltage or ground depending on if the digital input is pulled high or low. This particular product in the digital input is pulled low by default. So if you short the input with the 3.3 volt, it will go high, and this short can happen by a relay. So let's say relay is there. When every time it turns on, it will short these 2 pins, and then it will count one, and it will also count the how many seconds it was on. So this is how the cycle time works. This is the rising edge or falling edge is usually configurable. Most cases you want to say with rising edge because you want to know how long the relay was on and how many times. So this sensor can calculate that. To view the data and all that stuff, we're going to use a Node-RED dashboard as well as just Node-RED for debugging purpose. So as you can see, I have a device which is running and I've been getting the digital input counter 1. This is our focus. So digital input counter 1, uptime 1, and this one is the contact closer input. If you want to use a contact closer input, you will be using this one. In this particular example, I'm gonna connect a M12 connector, and on the other end, you got few pins. So if we go back to our user manual, we can see which 2 pins we need to use. We need to use 3 and 4. 3 will be blue and 4 will be ground. This is standard M12 connections. So every time I short these two, I just making a relay, which is just gonna connect these and not remove, connect, remove, connect. Then our counter will increase value and it will also increase the uptime value in this case. So that's one example. Now let's talk about a few of the settings this device supports. So auto config. Let's say you want to change any settings. This device, after once an hour, it will ask the Node-RED or the gateway like, hey, do you have any new settings for me? And if you want to apply these settings, you have to select these two and this third option. Now, destination address, this device can send data to any gateways, any NCD gateways, or you want to send data to a particular gateway, then you can set that address here and you can select this one. Then all the other settings are basic default settings which apply to most of the NCD settings. So let's talk about debounce time. So if you're connecting to a relay, it's a mechanical signal and this is a digital input. Sometimes you can have chirping or a false positive or false negative. In that case, we want to have debounce time. So by default is 50 millisecond, and most in applications it works. But if you're having an issue where like, hey, even though my relay is going on and off but it's not reading, it means your debounce time is set too high and this particular device is ignoring that data. So you can set this one if you're having that kind of situation. Then the input one, this is the input one which is for contact closure, and we can set it to falling as or rising as. If it's rising as, then when the contact closure input is set, it will count that time as uptime. If you are reading it falling as, then it will count the off time as the on time, if that makes sense. Let's go back to, so if it's a rising as, then it will count this as the on time, and if you set it to falling as, then it will count this to the uptime value. Counter threshold, this is, let's say you want to send a message if the count reaches multiple of 100. So let's say every time be like, hey, if this machine makes 100 piece of something, send me a message. So you can set that this value to 100, and then every time this machine makes 100 of something or the counter counts 100, it will send a message. We will also send message after the user defined interval. So let's say you want to get data every 5 minutes, then you will set this to and 300 seconds, which will send data to 5 seconds. So just to apply all these settings, I'm gonna click this and then deploy. So as I said, once an hour, this device will ask the node RED like, hey, what all your settings are, but right now we don't want to wait, so you can trigger a force reset. On the side of the sensor, you will see two read switches which can be used to trigger. One is for reset, one is for configure. So I'm gonna go ahead and trigger the reset. Now we'll see in our node RED, we'll get a message for run, and you will see the LEDs blinking, which is saying like, hey, I am communicating or sending data. And the node RED, it got the fly message, which will configure, and now we're gonna get config acknowledgements, and then finally we should be getting a config complete message. As you can see, we changed few settings, which was ID, delay, debounce time, input 1, and then counter threshold true. So all these settings did go through. If they do not go through, then you have to press the trigger the reset again by using either pressing the reset button or by touching a magnet next to the sensor. That's pretty much about it. It's a very easy to use device. You can connect to a lot of machines which are outputting a contact closure output. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us or send us an email at support@ncd.io.